Hi everybody, today I will be covering the talents and glyphs of an Elemental Shaman in Worlds of Draenor. How to make you the best shaman in your guild and to get out that maximum DPS of yours. And this will be a step-by-step guide because it will be divided into parts. And this time, the first part, I will tell you a little bit about what talents and glyphs you should have as a shaman. Of course, this is only for elemental shamans because I'm not really that good at enhancement or restoration. But let's dig into it. Talents. I play with Astral Shift because in raid it's kind of important to have good offensives, because sometimes the healers just can't keep you up and you need to stay alive so you don't have to use your reincarnation or die completely if your reincarnation isn't cooldown. So I play with Astral Shift because it causes you to take 40% less damage for 6 seconds, and you should use this when when you know that here comes a big hit, here comes some damage that is hard for the healers to keep up with. And because it's only 6 seconds, but it's quite a lot of percentage that you take less damage. So I like this. I like this most of these three at least, because this one is it depends on which fight you're at. I don't think this is as good. Nature's Guardian is not as good as Astral Shift because you can choose when to practice. This is when you get down low, you automatically get it. It's better for PvP than PvE. This you can choose when you know a big hit is coming up. And this is not even, I never play with Stone Bulwark Totem, so I can tell you a lot about it, but I know that it's not as good as Astral Shift. Okay, next one. Level 30 talents. I'll play with Windwalk Totem because none of these, neither Frozen Power or Earthquake Totem works in PvE at all, because you can't root the bosses. And Windwalk Totem, it causes you to run free if you're like slowed or rooted. It doesn't happen very often, but it happens more often than you face a boss who you can root. So it's not even discussable. Windwalk Totem is the only one who can affect you in a PvE fight. And then next one, level 45 talents. Call of the Elements. It resets the cooldown on all totems with a base cooldown shorter than 3 minutes. I think if a totem has a cooldown shorter than 3 minutes, it's not that good of a totem. You don't really need it all the time. I think you can wait for it. It's not that important totem. Except Healing Stream Totem. It's the only one. And the next one, Totemic Persistence. Summoning a second totem of the same element no longer causes the first totem to be destroyed. May only have one extra totem at a time, and may not be a fire totem. Okay. This is not good at all in PvE, because it may not be a fire totem. That's the only totem you'd like to have two of. And that is the situation when you are about to burst with your elementals, with your fire elemental here, and you still want your sharing totem up. But it doesn't work, because I don't know why, but you can't have both of them up. And this doesn't affect it. It makes you can have two air, earth and water totems up at the same time, but not fire. I don't know why. It makes no sense. So I play with Totemic Projection. Relocates your active totems to the specified location. That is wonderful. it's really nice, because in a fight, in like Cormrock, where you move a lot, like over to the other side, if you just put out your healing stream totem and the whole raid are about to move, then you won't get your healing from it, unless you use your totemic projection to move it over to the raid, and that's just wonderful. So I play with that. Okay, level 60 talents. Elemental Mastery. Elemental Forces empowers you with 30% of haste for 20 seconds. This is tombing cooldown, so it works perfect with Ascendance. So that's a really good thing. And you, in Ascendance, you should know what's happened. I'm counting with that you have a base perspective over Elemental Shamans, so you know what I'm talking about when you're watching this video. Ascendance makes you can cost how many lava bursts you want to, and Elemental Mastery makes you cost even more because you get 30% haste for 20 seconds. That's quite a lot of time. It's perfect, it's wonderful. Then Ancestral Swiftness increases haste by 5% and attack speed by 5% at all times. When activated, your next nature spell with a base casting time less than 10 seconds become instant. It's fine. I think all of these three are fine. But it's not like you really need an instant spell as a shaman. You know, I raid every week, and I never come to the situation where I really need my lava burst to be instant. And if I do, it often has a proc. So I don't think that's really good. It's fine, but it's better in PvP when you really need that, like insta heal or that final damage to kill him off. It's not that good in PvE. Did I say it was good in PvE? I mean, it's better in PvP. I don't know what I said, I don't remember. It's good in PvP, it's bad in PvE. Echo of the Elements. The following spell and abilities now have 2 charges. Other effects that reset their cooldown will instead grant 1 full charge. I played with this for some time. Now I think Elemental Master is better, but I played with the Echo of the Elements for quite a time actually, because you get 2 lava bursts, and that's really good. And you also get 2 earthquakes, who's wonderful, and that's wonderful for AoE damage. But it was just not worth it, because like if you have 2 lava bursts, you miss out on your rotation a lot. You want some lightning bolts, and if you play with 2 lava bursts, you won't get any lightning bolts, and it takes a lot longer time to get your earth shock unless you cast lightning bolt. So, and it's not really worth it to play with 2 lava bursts because it's proccing all the time anyway. So you get 2 lava bursts anyway. And yeah, it's playable. You can play it, but I prefer Elemental Mastery. I have better DPS with Elemental Mastery. So yeah. Okay, Rushing Streams. Your healing stream totem now heals 2 targets at once for 15% additional healing. Yeah, it's like you could play it. You could play it. But again, you don't really, your healing stream totem isn't that great. It's good to keep you up, but it's not like you want to use it as a raid cooldown. It's not that good. So you could definitely play it, but it's not the best according to me, because I play Ancestral Guidance. For the next 10 seconds, 20% of your damage and healing, including multi-strikes, is converted to healing on up to 3 nearby injured party or raid members. that is a lot better, because it won't heal as many targets, but when you see your rate dropping low, you pop Ancestral Guidance, and hopefully you have your Ascendance up, and you can use your Ascendance as a heal, because this heals the amount. This heals more depending on how much damage you do. So if you pop Ascendance and Elemental Mastery and Ancestral Guidance, you will get out not just a lot of damage, you will also get out a lot of healing. And maybe it's just on 3 targets, but for the healers it's a lot of help, because those 3 targets will almost get completely healed. So the healers can focus on the others. They don't even have to focus on those 3 targets, because one Elemental Shaman can heal those 3 with that combo with Descendants. So it's amazing when your rate is dropping low. Connectivity. Your Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Elemental Blast, Earth Shock and Storm Strike increases the duration of your healing rain by 3.47 seconds, up to a maximum increase of 30 seconds. This is not good at all, unless you're a Restoration Shaman, I believe, because you don't even have your healing rain up as a Elemental Shaman. So that's it. You don't use healing rain as Elemental. Oh, I got a Wisp. Just wondering where my friend is. Let me just answer him. Okay, let me continue. Level 90 talents. Unleashed Fury. Empowers your Unleashed Flame, causing it to also increase damage done with Lightning Bolt by 30% and with Lava Burst by 10% for 10 seconds. This is good. That's not bad at all. But you could definitely play it. It's like you get a buff on both your Lightning Bolt and your Lava Burst. But I don't think it's better than Elemental Blast. But you could definitely play with it if you like it. If you think you get one too many spells with the Elemental Blast and you want a fewer amount of spells, you could just play Unleashed Fury, because it's good as well. Okay, Primal Elementalist. Your Earth and Fire Elemental totems draw forth Primal Elementals 80% more powerful than regular elementals. Sorry for the pause, I had to swallow. That sounded wrong. Anyway, with additional abilities and acting directly under your control, also grants additional abilities and control to your Storm Elemental totem. Okay, this is good for burst. Because, let me explain. If you're on a fight where you need a lot of burst, this makes your elementals, who you use in your burst, you use your fire elemental when you're bursting, it makes it 80% more powerful. That's almost twice as powerful, and it's already kind of powerful. So yeah, it's like you play this in a burst fight, but you don't play it regularly. It's like 2 fights in Hellfire Citadel where you want to play it. Those fights are Fellward, and it's, I can't even remember who the other one is. Maybe, no, I don't remember actually. But yeah, you want it in your burst. Elemental Blast. Harness the raw power of the element, stealing 13,000 blah 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 elemental damage and increasing your critical strike, haste, mastery or multi-strike by 500 for 8 seconds. I want you to notice that this is a 12-second cooldown, and it's up for 8 seconds. So 4 seconds 1/3 of the time, this is not gonna be up because you're playing an Elemental Blast on cooldown. It gives you 500 of one of those stats, either crit, haste, mastery, or volt strike. 500 is a lot. And imagine if you get like 500 haste, and you want to play this before Ascendance, because if you get 500 haste and your Elemental Mastery and your Ascendance, that and Bloodthirst, or Heroism as it's called here in Alliance, that is very fast casting. And that's the reason I play this, because it's up for 2/3 of the time. Unleashed Fury, it's up for 10 seconds, and it's a 15-second cooldown on Unleashed Flame. But I think, so it's up 2/3 as well. But I don't think the 10% on Lava Burst and 30% on Lightning Bolt, you don't cost that many Lightning Bolts that this will get the value it needs. 10% on Lava Burst, that's okay. I think if you want more people to play this, then Blizzard should like make it 20% on Lava Burst, or even more, because 10% is not enough to make it a better buff than Elemental Blast. And Elemental Blast is an additional spell, and I think it's needed in the Elemental Shaman to have this spell. So Elemental Blast is my choice. And now for the level 100 talents. Elemental Fusion. It's a passive talent. Your Lava Burst and Lava Lash increases the next damage from your shocks by 40%, stacking up to 2 times. That is really good, because imagine if you play, like, if you play, I don't know how to explain it. You cast Lava Burst, you get 40% additional damage from your shock, and that's the Earth Shock you want to apply that on, because it's a huge crit. Let me show you. I think it's a really long duration on it as well. Let's play Lava Burst. There it is, 15 seconds. So you can easily wait for your next Lava Burst, and then you cast that, and then you can just Earth Shock for 80% additional damage. Now it didn't crit as hard because I did not have my lightning shield proc. So that's the reason why it didn't do as much damage, because you want your fulmination. You can read about the fulmination. I will tell you about it in another guide. But it's a lot of damage. Storm Elemental Totem. Summons an air totem with 26,000 blah 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 health at the feet of your caster at the caster. Calling forth a greater storm elemental to hurl gusts of wind at the caster's enemies. Each gust of wind does damage to the enemy and then heals all allies within 15 yards for 100% of the damage dealt. Split evenly. Lasts 1 minute, like any elemental do, and there's also a 1 minute shared cooldown on all the elementals when you play it, so you can't have 2 elementals up at the same time. Okay, this is good for fights where your raid takes a lot of damage, and you would also like to play this with your in burst fights with Primal Elementalist, because it's an extra elemental, and this gets 80% more powerful as well. And I will tell you about the glyph later, who you want to play with this. But it's good in burst fights, you can play it. All these 100 talents are great. So let's move on. Liquid Magma. Empowers your current fire totem with the power of lava, causing liquid magma to erupt from it toward random enemies within 40 yards every 0.43 seconds for 10 sec. Each globes of liquid magma deals 1367 fire damage to all enemies within 4 yards. That's horribly good for AoE. Like at Hellfire Assault, I do so much damage because I switch to Liquid Magma and I switch to Echo of the Elements, so I get 2 earthquakes and my totem every 45 seconds. My Searing Totem erupts with Liquid Magma, and this is so good damage in AoE fights. So okay, these 3 you want to switch between them. This is for single target fights only. This is for burst fights only, and this is for AoE fights only. Echo of the Elements as well is for AoE fights, and Primal Elementalist is for burst fights, because if you don't play Primal Elementalist, Storm Elemental Totem is not good enough. So here I got my talents. Let's move on to the glyphs. Okay, the minor glyphs is not important as Elemental Shaman. I just play so I run faster with my Ghost Wolf. But this is, I think this is the most important glyph for Elemental Shaman. It's Glyph of Spirit Walker's Grace. Increases the duration of your Spirit Walker's Grace by 5 seconds. Those 5 seconds, you think 5 seconds, that's not a lot. No, it's not a lot, but it's 2 spells and it's still good. Imagine if you're 5 seconds, if the boss costs an ability that makes you want to move, makes you want to have that mobility, then those 5 seconds, a boss doesn't cost a spell for longer than 20 sec, and 5 sec it's a fourth of that. So it's like 5 seconds is longer than I think, and you still want that damage even when you're moving. Glyph of Chain Lightning. Your Chain Lightning spell now strikes 2 additional targets but deals 10% less damage. I play this because it's really good in AoE. To 10% less damage, it's really fine when you hit 2 additional targets. Because in like Hellfire Assault, it's 5 targets that you damage at a time without your Earthquake. If you play your Earthquake, it's even more. So Glyphs is not that important for an Elemental Shaman, but yeah, I play with that. And as well, Glyph of Lightning Shield. Your Lightning Shield is triggered, you take 10% less damage for 6 seconds. This is just a passive who procs from now and then, and you take 10% less damage. It's easier for the healers. You need to think about the healers as well, you can't just think about your damage. So these 2 are optional, but I really think you need a Spirit Walker's Grace Glyph. And as well, I don't know where it is, but yeah, here it is. Glyph of Fire Elemental Totem. Reduces the cooldown and duration of your Fire Elemental Totem by 50%. You want to use this in burst fights, because you want it to, the cooldown is half as long, 2.5 minutes, and it's 80% more powerful with your Primal Elementalist talent. So that's really powerful, unless it's kind of not worth it. But play it in burst fights with Primal Elementalist. Yeah, okay. I think that's all the talents and glyphs. So hope you learned something, and this is mainly a guide for new Shaman players. So have that in mind. Pro players are probably better than me. I'm a decent Shaman player. I played it for like half a year, I think. My main is Warrior from the beginning, but I only played it in PvP. So hope you enjoyed the guide. Would love a like and a subscribe if if you want more videos like this, leave a comment on recommendations on videos and stuff like that. And part 2 will be out soon enough. See you later. Bye.